half an hour. Not much traffic yet on the canals, and that's always nice. And the building on the right is an old palace that was built 500 years ago by the richest man in town, businessman. And now you can visit the palace as the Museum for Antiques. On the right, this is the Church of Our Lady, built in the 13th century. 700 years old. Very small houses, and small houses were built for the working people. A long time ago all the houses here were wooden houses, but since the 15th century wooden houses have been forbidden all over Europe because of the danger for fire. It has been one of the oldest hospitals in Europe, and it's also for visit now. There is an old pharmacy and a small painting museum. I still remember that I visited my grandmom here in the early 70s, and the nurses were nuns in the typical nun. And now we have to go under a very low bridge, as you can see here, so please be careful and mind your heads. The right side of the bridge is the Béguinage. This is a very beautiful place to visit, the Béguinage. It's an old convent, and it's from the 13th century. Since the 1950s it's not a convent anymore. Local women live in the small houses of the convent now. And this is a little bit a private beach for the swans and for the ducks. In the Middle Ages we had more than 400 breweries here for 40,000 people. That's around the 15th century. And now we have only 2 breweries. The building on the right there is the oldest and most important brewery, Brewery Half Moon. And it's also there that you can visit the beer museum, the brewery here on the right. Growing on the board just for testing, and beer kettles here behind the windows on the right. It's the oldest church here in Bruges. It's one of the 3 Michelangelo sculptures outside Italy. We have the Madonna here, and in Paris they have the 2 others at the Louvre. And the big old buildings in Bruges, almost all the big old buildings are built in only one style, Gothic style. They all have the same typical windows, and on the left side here we see the typical Gothic style on top. And the houses on top of the first 2 bridges, you can see the difference here. The 17th century bridge, the 16th century in the middle, and the 15th century here where you see the stalactites. University, and who paid 21,000 euros to stay here for 1 year to specialize in Europe. It's all about politics and economics. It's purple glass when you look from here, but when you look from the inside to the outside, it's white. And that's what makes it special. It is from the 16th century, the Spanish building built during the Spanish occupation. And the big building in the background is the town hall, the city hall, one of the oldest in Northern Europe. And in a moment you can take a beautiful picture if you want when you see the Belfry Tower. Beautiful view, it's always the best in the mornings when the sun is on the buildings. The belfry is from the 13th century, 83 meters high. You can go to the top, but you have to do that on foot, 366 steps. Our Palace of Justice until the 1970s. The old Palace of Justice, also built in the 16th century, same period as the Spanish building that we just saw. The canals in Bruges have a length of 16 kilometers. They are 2 meters deep, that's not very deep. And we have 43 beautiful little bridges. This is the oldest bridge in front of you. It was built in 1392. The oldest bridge here, the first one that was built in stones. Before that also bridges were built in wood. The right, where you see the little red door. Gold houses were built by rich families for the poor people.
C'est ce que tu me disais, Eric.
And poor people still live in the gold houses nowadays. They pay half the normal price. A church in the background is one of the most beautiful churches to visit. St. Anna Church in front of you in the background. And on the left side, when you look at the house, you see the flag of Bruges and the symbol of Bruges, also the little sculpture, the bear. And they are putting a new roof on top of this one. Houses are some of the gold houses. The big building in grey, the biggest one there on the right, is a psychiatrical clinic now, but until 30 years ago, it's the place where the local people were born. And the building on the left side is an old convent. Now it's also one of the buildings for the College of Europe. Different styles next to each other. In fact, you see 500 years of houses standing together there. Classified monuments, just like also the house with the beautiful Madonna there in front of you, the number 21. There is always a reason to make monuments, to classify houses as monuments. Sometimes famous people live there. Made a bit of a mistake here in the 1980s. This is much too modern and we were all very angry here, the people in Bruges, when they built this one. The 1980s, the house with the yellow sign, also a classified monument, was sold 3 weeks ago for 815. The first one is renovated and the second one not yet. Say which are the oldest houses. They have the typical steps on top. All the other houses came later. The house with the blue windows was sold a month ago for 700,000. That's a small tea house here on the right, but I have never seen anyone in here in all my life. Not very popular, the tea house. And have a look also at the windows of the house on the right. When you see the windows, you can imagine a bit how it's inside. There is only one conclusion, I think, ready for renovations. And the little red towers on top were the pigeon towers. Pigeons have always been very important. They were the fastest way to send messages. Even the Romans and the Greeks knew that already thousands of years ago. Fish market that you can see on the left side. We still use it officially, but the people have to go to work in the daytime, and in the evening they want to buy everything at the supermarkets. We are losing the fish market, and that's a pity, but it's just the time we live in. This is the Church of Our Lady again in the background, the highest tower here, 115.6 meters. That's about 38 feet. And it's also the second highest tower in Europe that was built only in small bricks. Those houses that they started to build at the end of the 19th century. With the wooden balconies. And the Spanish building on the left side of the hotel is one of the good pubs nowadays. Corner of the house on the left side, the house with the sculptures, and we have 320 different Madonnas, 3 on the right. And another good example of the renovations here. The building was completely black from all the dirt, and after the renovations, since this year it's looking new again. Thanks to the specialized companies who do that, and this means that we are also at the end of the tour. Time goes fast, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was a bit interesting too. If you enjoyed it, it's possible to leave a small tip. And I wish you a beautiful day here in Bruges. Be careful now when you sit on the right side in the boats. Please keep your hands inside now while we are landing for your safety. And make sure maybe when you get out of the boat you don't forget anything in the boat. Have a great day and thank you.